down in New Orleans. Preacher that was in a convenience store one evening behind some folks in line, and mother and kid, dad. Had a little food on the counter there and didn't have enough money to pay for it. He tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Don't turn around. Don't want you to see me." Slipped him some money and said, "Just, if you would, take this and pay for your food. And let's leave it at that." So they did. Never made contact. Time went on. A few years later, this preacher was called to come back to New Orleans and preach a revival at a church. And after service, the young man came up and shook his hand and said, "I want to tell you a story about a time when it was about done for me and my family." You see, we were down on our luck. We were destitute, had no hope. And my wife and I had made a suicide pact. We were just going to end it. We had one little child and was going to take that child out with us too. Put him out of his misery for what was ahead in our mind. We thought we'd feed him first. Stopped by a convenience store one evening. Put some bread and milk on the counter and realized we didn't have enough money to pay for it. But a man behind us tapped us on the shoulder. We never saw his face. And paid for our food. And all he said to us was that Jesus loves us. We left that store and drove to the place we'd picked to perform our final act and wept for hours. Couldn't do it. On the way home, we passed a church sign that said the same thing that man had told us, that Jesus loved us. Went to church the next Sunday. We've been going ever since and turned our life around. And after today's sermon, I realized that the man behind us in that line that night was you. You see, this preacher was from Africa and had a very distinct accent that they recognized that church that day. Because of one simple act, he changed the course of 3 human beings. It's good stuff.